Okay, so I thought I'd make a quick video going over the 76 questions. You guys remember how you had to choose 15 or 20 depending on what class you were in? So I'm not checking them today, but I am going to go through each question for you. So Mr. Turner bought X boxes of pencils. Each holds 25. He left 3 boxes at home and took the rest to school. So each box holds 25 pencils. I don't know how many boxes that he bought, but I know that he left 3 at home. So the total that he bought minus 3 times 25 will give you the equation that you need, right? So if you look at this, what I need to do is I need to distribute. So really, I'm using the expression 25x minus 75. Okay. Granola bars cost 55 cents each. Which table represents this relationship? Well, 2 times 55 is $1.10. 4 times 55 is $2.20. 0 granola bars don't cost any money. So the correct answer should be B. What is the value of x in this equation? I'm going to distribute 2x minus 6 plus 1 equals 19. Combine like terms, 2x minus 5 equals 19. I'm going to add 5 to both sides. 2x equals 24. When I divide by 2, I find out that x equals 12. What is the solution for this equation? Well, when I subtract x from each side, I find out that 1 equals 2. And that's not true. That means there is no solution. If n is an odd integer, which equation can be used to find 3 consecutive odd integers? So let's see. If n is my first odd integer, the next one is going to be x plus 2, and the third odd integer will be x plus 4. I'm going to sum these together. So I have 1, 2, 3x plus 2 plus 4 is 6, has to equal negative 3. I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. 3x equals negative 9, which means that x equals negative 3. So my first integer, we didn't even have to solve that. We were just trying to choose the proper equation. So actually C is the proper equation. The sum of 3 consecutive even integers, that is set up the exact same way. If I let n equal my first, n plus 2 is my second, and n plus 4 is my third. Remember that even numbers, 2, 4, 6, and so on, the difference between them is 2. That's why we're adding 2 each time, okay? Just like with odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, the difference between these is 2. That's why we add 2. So I'm doing consecutive even numbers that add up to 48. That gives me 3n plus 6 equals 48. When I subtract 6 from both sides, I have 3n equals 42. Divide both sides by 3, and n equals 14. And 14 is the smallest of those numbers. For number 7, what is the value of m in this equation? Well, I have 2m minus, I have to distribute that, minus m minus 1 equals 0. 2m minus m is 1m, so I have 1m minus 1 equals 0. When I add 1 to both sides, I find out that m equals 1. What is the value of w? I'm not going to walk through every single one of these. That'll take me forever in the moon. I'm going to subtract 0.6 from both of these. So I have 0.04 W equals 1.8. You are going to divide both sides by 0.04. Okay. Here I need to distribute. So 3x plus 6 minus 2x minus 2 equals 8. When I combine like terms, I have x plus 4 equals 8. You can definitely get it from there. Which graph represents a function? This is something I definitely wanted to talk about. Remember that if a graph is a function, it will pass the vertical line test, meaning that a vertical line will only touch the graph at one point. So this is not a function because it touches it twice. This is not a function because it touches this line everywhere, right? This is not a function because no matter where I put a vertical line, I'm going to touch that graph at a minimum of one time, but definitely twice, right? So not, but this one only touches it one time, one time, one time, one time. So this one is a function. Yes. All right. What is the range of the function when the domain is -2, -1, and +2? So remember, range is your y values. So this says let x equal -2 and find y. You're going to let x equal -1, and you're going to let x equal +2. Okay. So let's see. If I evaluate f of -2, that equals 3 times -2 plus 2. So f of -2 equals -6 plus 2 or -4. So my range, my y values are the set -4, comma, when I let x equal -1, f of -1 equals 3 times -1 plus 2. Let's see, 3 times -1 is -3, plus 2 is -1. So that's my next y value. Remember that your range is your y values. And this last one, I'm letting x equal 2. So f of 2 equals 3 times 2 plus 2. Whoops. So 3 times 2 plus 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Plus 2 is 8. So my range values are -4, 1, and 8, which is example C. Gustavo throws an object straight up with a speed of 20 meters per second because of gravity. The object will soon fall back to the ground. This is the equation that we're going to use. So based on the equation above, which of the following is the independent variable? So does the speed, is the speed independent or are seconds independent? Well, the amount of time is always independent, remember? So the time is the independent variable. Three brothers are consecutive even. That's going to be x plus 2 plus x plus 4. But it doesn't say that we're summing them. So that's not going to be x plus 2 plus. Let's do that again. Let me define my variables. My first brother is x. The next one is x plus 2 and x plus 4. These are my variables. It says 3 times the age of the youngest brother. So 3 times the age of the youngest exceeds the oldest brother's age. So by 48 years. That means is the oldest brother's, like, is 48 more than the oldest brother? So plus 48 is the oldest brother. So 3x plus 48 equals x plus 4. That is not right. I have that wrong. Exceeds is older, 48 by 48 years. So 3 times the age of the youngest brother exceeds the oldest brother's age is the oldest brother's age plus 48. It's 48 greater. So 3x equals x plus 52. It means 2x equals 52. That means x equals 26. So the youngest brother is 26. At the beginning of her math class, Miss Reno gave a warm-up problem. She says, I'm thinking of a number such that 6, so this number x, 6 is less than the product. 6 is less than the product of this number and 7. So 7 times x minus 6 is 85. So you would add 6 to both sides and then divide by 7. The table below shows the relationship between x and f of x, or f and y. What is the slope? Remember that your slope is your change in y. This is minus 8 over plus 2. Minus 8 over plus 2. So remember, your slope is your change in y over your change in x. So your slope is -4. So for this one, you're going to distribute. You get 8 minus 20x equals 6 minus 3 plus 9x. 8 minus 20x equals 3 plus 9x. We're trying to find an equivalent function. When I subtract 9x from both sides, I get negative 29x. Subtract 3 equals negative 5. That means that a positive 29x equals a positive 5. All right. You guys can do that one. You are just figuring out if they made any mistakes. So for this first one, number 17, when you move across the river, right? When you move across that river, when you go from one side to the other, remember you have to use the opposite operation. So we should be subtracting 2x from both sides. Which equation best represents the graph? Well, it has a y-intercept of 0 and it has a slope of 2 over 1. So you decide. Y-intercept of 4 and a slope of 2 over 3. So let's see, this one is going to be y equals 2x. And this one is going to be y equals 2/3 x plus 4. Some ordered pairs for the function of x are given below. So let's see if we can find the slope. Plus 6 over 2. So 6 over 2 equals 3. So I'm looking for a function that has a slope of 3. Remember, if I want to move backwards, well, let's see. If my slope is 3, m equals 3, and I know one of the ordered pairs, let's use 1, 1, I can plug that into y equals mx plus b and solve for my y-intercept. That's what I'm trying to find. So y is 1. 1 equals my slope times the x-coordinate, which is also 1, plus b. Well, 1 equals 3 plus b, subtract 3. So that means that that negative 2 equals b. So I'm looking for the equation y equals a slope of 3x minus 2. What is the domain? Remember, domain are x values. So the domain is 1, 2, 4, and 5. What are the range values? I know that's not a question, but let's talk about it. The range values. So this is the domain, x. The range values, negative 5, negative 4, negative 2, and negative 1. What is the simplified form of this? You're just distributing. So that's 8x minus 20y minus 3x. Combine like terms. 8 minus 3 is 5. Which one does not represent a function? Well, this passes the vertical line test, passes the vertical line test, does not pass the vertical line test. This one does. Function, no, 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 yes. Table that represents a function. So remember, you can have no repeats in the domain. So has repeats in the domain, repeats in the domain, repeats in the domain. This is the only one that can be a function. Let's look at the domain again. No repeats in the x's, repeats. Repeats in the x, repeats in the x. So this is the only one that can be a function. We're evaluating f of 2. That just means that I replace the x with a 2. So that equals 2 times the quantity 2 cubed minus 2. Well, 2 times, let's see, 2 cubed is 8 minus 2. 2 times 8 is 16 minus 2. So f of 2 equals 14. Divide both sides. So negative 2x is less than or equal to 6. Divide both sides by a negative 2. Remember that when you divide by a negative, you have to flip the inequality. You have to flip the sign. Here, x divided by 2 is less than 7. The undo of divide is multiply. This one we can distribute. 14x minus 21 is greater than 49. When I add 21 to both sides, I have 14x is greater than 60, 70. Divide both sides by 14. X is greater than 5. So 0 is not greater than 5. Negative 6 is not greater than 5. 5 is not greater than 5. The only possible solution would be A. Okay. Which of the following shows the temperature decreasing over time? This shows the temperature staying the same. This shows it increasing slowly and then exponentially. Steady increase, right? This is a decrease. As x increases, which one has a positive rate of change? That means which one shows positive slope? Rate of change is the same thing as slope. Positive slope. This has 0 slope. This has undefined. This, my slope is 0, and this has negative. Which one has the greatest slope? Well, the greatest slope means that it increases the rapidest, right? So this has a slope of 2. This has a slope of 1. So this has the greatest slope. Which graph does line K best represent a line with a slope of 0? So slope of 0 means that it is horizontal, no rise. 2 less than the sum of, so I'm going to subtract 2 from the sum of a number and 6. So n plus 6. 2 less than the sum of a number and 6 is equal to the product of, so I'm going to multiply the product of this number and 3. So x or n plus 6 minus 2 equals 3x, D. If I wanted to solve for x, I would first add 2 to both sides. So that gives me h plus 2 equals dx. Divide both sides by d. So your answer is C. So these are just literal equations. Tara buys 2 items that cost $D each. So 2 items that cost $D each. She gives the cashier $20. Which expression represents her change? 20 minus 2D is going to be her change. 5 less than the product of 7 and x. Remember, less than you do afterwards. X represents a number, the expression 5 less than, twice that number. We have a lot of less than. Make sure you're aware of that. Verbal expression. So 1/2 times the difference of n and 3. 1/2 of the difference of n and 3. I love that. What is the range? Remember, the range is the y values. What is the lowest and the highest y value? Well, it goes from 0 to 100. 0 to 100. What is the domain and the range? The domain is your x values. So x is greater than or equal to, because this is going on forever. So the smallest x value is -1, -2, -3, -4. My range, my y values, y is greater than or equal to the lowest y value, and then it goes up, right? So my lowest y value is 2. So y is greater than or equal to 2, and x is greater than or equal to -4. Domain and range, remember your domain is your x values. So your x values are in between -1 and +1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So -1 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 6. And your range values, the lowest and the highest. So the lowest is -2 is less than or equal to y is less than or equal to, the highest is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kevin drops a ball out the window that is 100 feet above the ground. The equation is here, where time is in seconds. Based on the equation, which of the following is the dependent variable? The height depends on how much time it's been in the air. Which equation corresponds to the graph? Okay, so this has a y-intercept of 2. It has negative slope. It looks like I go down 2 and over 1, 2, 3. So my slope is negative 2/3. So y equals negative 2/3 x plus 2. It looks like this is written in standard form. So the first thing I want to do, remember with standard form, is get rid of all fractions. So I'm going to multiply everything by 3. 3y equals negative 2x plus 6. Then I want the x and the y on one side and the constant on the other. So 2x plus 3y equals 6b. You could also look at the equations and see where the graph crosses the y-axis. Remember that when you use the cover-up, this has an x-intercept of 3 and a y-intercept of 2. So if I cover this up to x equals 6, which means x equals 3, and my y value was 3y equals 6, which means y equals 2. Okay, so you could have done that 2 ways. So this one has an x-intercept of 3, and it looks like it's got a y-intercept of 1.5. So x-intercept of 3, and then a y-intercept of 3 divided by 2 is the same thing as 1.5. So again, find your slope and so y-intercept is 4, slope of down 2 over 1. So passes through, let's see, it has a slope of 4, so m equals 4, and it passes through the point 3, negative 10. So we're going to plug this into, I'm going to plug it into y equals mx plus b. So y, negative 10, equals m, my slope, times x plus b. Negative 10 equals 12 plus b. When I subtract 12 from both sides, negative 22 equals b. So my equation is y equals 4x minus 22. So this tells me that my y-intercept is 4, b is 4, and my slope is 2/3. So this is the equation y equals 2/3 x plus 4. Again, these are all in standard form. Multiply everything by the denominator of 3 to get rid of the fractions. 3y equals 2x plus 12. Subtract 2x from both sides. Negative 2x plus 3y equals 12. Remember, your leading coefficient cannot be negative. So divide everything by a negative 1. 2x minus 3y equals negative 12. So find your slope. First, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and then use one of your points to find b. Parallel lines. Remember that if lines are parallel, they have the same slope. So the only line here that has the same slope is right here. Again, parallel lines. If lines are parallel, they have the same slope. What is the slope of a line that's parallel to this? Well, let's find the slope of this line. It looks like the slope of this line is down 1, 2, 3, down 3 over 2. So the line parallel to that also has to have a slope of negative 3 over 2. Which best represents a line perpendicular to this line? Okay, so let's talk about the slope of this line is 3 over 5, right? Perpendicular slopes, remember, are the opposite. So if this is positive, my perpendicular slope is going to be negative, and then I reciprocate it. So I'm looking for a graph that has a negative 5/3 slope. So I go down 5 over 3, and it looks like I'm going to be right here. D is my choice. Which describes parallel lines, same slope, different y-intercepts, which is perpendicular. So let's find the slope of this line. So 3x plus 6y equals 12. Subtract 3x. 6y equals negative 3x plus 12. Divide everything by 6. So y equals negative 1/2. x. So the slope of this line is negative 1/2. If it's perpendicular to that, it's going to have a slope of 2, and it passes through this point. So 0, that's my y value, equals 2 times my x plus b. So 0 equals 8 plus b, which means that negative 8 is my y-intercept. So my equation is y equals 2x plus negative 8, minus 8. Midpoint, add the x's together, divide it by 2, add the y's together, and divide it by 2. So negative 2, positive 2. Midpoint, again, add the x's together, divide by 2, add the y's together, divide by 2. So it should be 0, 7. Here, you're given the midpoint and you're trying to find j. So remember that the x coordinates, x plus negative 2 divided by 2, has to equal the x coordinate of your midpoint. And the y coordinates, y plus 4 divided by 2, has to equal the y coordinate of your midpoint. Multiply both sides by 2. Sorry, that's 2 over 1. So x minus 2 equals negative 12. When I add 2 to both sides, I find out that the x coordinate is negative 10. And the y coordinate, when I multiply both sides by 2, y plus 4 equals negative 4. When I subtract 4 from both sides, I find out that y is negative 8. So coordinates for j were actually negative 10, negative 8. If the line segment contains these 2 points and it's sketched on the coordinate plane, what is the length of the segment in units? This is the distance formula. Distance equals y2 minus y1, the quantity squared, plus x2 minus x2, the quantity squared. So let's see. X and y1, x2, y2. So 1 minus 7 squared plus 13 minus 5 squared. So 1 minus 7 is negative 6 squared, plus 13 minus 5 is 8 squared. Well, let's see, negative 6 squared, negative 6 times 6 is 36, 8 times 8 is 64. That equals 100, and the square root of 100 is 10. So you're going to do distance again. Distance. Correlation of, this means that it has negative slope, and negative correlation, right? Strong negative correlation. The table below shows how much bottled water was consumed per person in North America during 1998. If the actual consumption in 2007 was 128.5 liters per person, find the difference between the projected and the actual. Okay, so that means that we need to come up with our slope. Or actually, we're going to use Desmos. We would use Desmos and we would build a table, right? Our table, X and Y chart. You'd make your table, put in your ordered pairs. It started from 1998, so I would use 1, like I would do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2004 would be 6, 2005 would be 7, 2008 would be 9. Sorry, 24, 25, 26, 27 would be 9. 2007 would be 9. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 9, and just put in your numbers. So 59.7. Actually, don't put that 9 in. 59.7, 68, 72.2. Anyway, so you're going to go through that, and you're going to get an equation. So I guess I can split my screen and show you how to do this. Desmos graphing, which I thought I already had up. Okay, so we are going to do a table. Where did my notes go? One note. Goodness gracious. Okay, so we're going to build this table. Here we go. So I'm going to click my plus button, choose my table, I'm going to do my x's first. So I'm just going to do 0 for 1998, 1 for 1999, 2 for 2000, 2001 is 3, 2004 is 2, sorry, 2002 is 4, 2003 is 5, and then I'm going to input these values: 59.7, 68, 72.2, 70. Oh my goodness. Hang on a second. Oh, 68, 72.2, 77.9. This is our regression. We've done this. 85.2 and 91. So we're going to zoom in and see our little points right there. That looks very linear. How nice. And then we're going to input that equation. Remember, y sub 1 equals mx sub 1 plus b. It's not really an equals. I forgot. We have to use that little out symbol, that little Spanish tilde. So my regression, this is a very strong positive equation. My slope, remember my equation is y equals my slope, 6.22 x plus b, which is 60.24. So what happens in the year 2007? Well, 2007 is 4 years after this. I'm going to find 9 on my graph really fast. I'm going to find out what happens when x equals 9, and I'm going to follow that up to my, so my predicted value when x is 9, my prediction is, ding, ding, dong it. My predicted value is 116. So when x equals 9, my y value is 116. But if I put, so that's my, this is what's predicted, right? But if I put it into the equation, sorry, if I actually look at this 128.5 and subtract the two, because the actual, what was observed, 128.5. So I'm going to take 128.5 minus 116. Well, whoops. Well, 5 minus 0 is 5. 8 minus 6 is 2. So it's about 12.5. Let's go the other way around. Let's plug it into your table really fast. Plug it into your equation. So 6.22 times 9 plus 60.24. So calculator. 6.22 times 9 plus 60.24 equals, 116.2. So your observed minus your predicted. Find the difference between your projected. So my projected minus my observed, 116.2 minus the 128.5, 12.28. Yeah, I'm going to go on the low end, the negative 16. It's got to be that this wasn't 0. But anyway, that's how you're going to do it. So let's see. So that's it. So that's going through all of the 1 through 72. That's 1 through 76.